Thanks, Unplugged Army, for listening. Chamon Metayer joining us, tight ends coach, Arizona State, and ASU is on their bye week, so he's got 900 places to go. I'm sure you could guess the first question, but how's the family? That's more important than anything else. How's life?
Life is good. Family's doing well. Kids were super fired up that we qualified for the bowl game. Like I told you when we bumped into each other, their only experience with the bowl game is the Peach Bowl in the CFP. So they think that's every bowl game now. So they were pretty juiced. They were pretty juiced up to know that we got to 6 wins and know that they're going to get that. But no, they're doing great. It's been a lot of fun, and they're both active. My wife is, she's a G. Baker's got flag football, and Kendall's got volleyball, and Dad's never home, so she's running them around and working and getting them to school and back and all that. So shout out to Sarah. She holds it down at home.
Well, you never expected this to be a question, but as soon as you say that, even though you and I have completely different jobs, it's kind of the same world of a lot of times you can focus on being a good dad or a good husband or good at your job. And it's very hard to be good at all three. What do you try to do to be good at all three at the same time?
Well, I think a lot of it just comes down to your priorities. And so I tell people all the time, my job is, obviously a priority when I'm doing it. And my family is pretty much my hobby. So when I'm not doing my job, I spend all my free time pouring into my family. And I wish I could play more golf, but if I have to choose between playing golf or spending time with my kids, it's going to be my kids. And so I think I've just tried to do a good job of prioritizing my free time and giving about 99.9% of my free time goes to my family and making sure that I'm not cutting them short when I do have time away from football. And then, obviously Coach Dillingham does a great job of allowing our family to be a part of this process and having family dinners on Sunday nights and making sure that the wives and the kids feel welcome in the facility. So I'm trying to incorporate them in this process as much as possible as well.
Well, you didn't ask for advice, but I'm giving it to you. Get the family involved in golf, and then you win. You go to Whirlwind and you teach your kids how to play, and then you're all together. The conversations I have had with my youngest daughter when you're in a cart for 4 hours, it's unbelievably deep, and I'm a better dad because of the amount of times I've made her cry when she's in a bunker because I've learned, you know what, be quiet. Let her figure it out. And if she wants to cheat and pick her ball up and throw it out of the bunker, that's between her and God. It's not between me and her.
She can learn. Awesome. No, that's great advice. That's great advice. I know I've got some buddies that are doing that. They got, oh yeah, my kids are in junior golf. I was like, that's selfish, but no, it is awesome. And actually Baker, my son has expressed some interest in wanting to pick it up a little bit. So he turned 7 this weekend. So that's probably a good age to pick up the sticks and start learning how to play.
That's good. That's good. What's going, as far as the tight ends are concerned at Arizona State, what's going right? What are you happy about?
I think we've got a really talented, deep room. I think they're very unselfish and they've done whatever they've been asked to do throughout the course of the season. At times it's just been blocking and being involved in the run game and in pass protection. Recently I think a little bit more involved in the pass game and catching balls and having some opportunities with that. But I think the thing that they're doing right is they're just unselfish and they're putting the team first and they're doing whatever they've been asked to do to help the team win. I feel like they really all get along with each other. They love each other. They push each other and support each other. And I'm really proud of that. It's a fun room to be a part of. We've got great personalities. They enjoy being together. We enjoy our meeting times and they allow me to challenge them and hold them accountable. They don't take anything personal. So, there's been a lot of positives. Obviously Chamon's having a career year, had a career year last year and he's already bested that in most of the categories that you can track. So, he's having a great year. Harp is really, rose to the challenge and taken on more of a role and has made some plays for us. So, pleased with that group and excited about the future too with Kamari and AJ and some of the other guys that are in that room that have worked really hard that I think have a bright future ahead of them.
We always expect the players to be selfless, give to the team, sacrifice maybe some touches here and there for everything else. But we never ask the coaches. Do you ever go into a coaching, meeting and start yelling at Arroyo, "Hey, our guys are open. Let's go tight ends." I mean, what do coaches do to fight for their room when at the same time you know full well it's about the team? But come on, you're judged by the tight ends whether you get attention for that or not.
No doubt. No, I mean, it's, obviously trust Arroyo to put a good plan together. I think you just try to put some stuff, on his page sometimes where you're like, hey, sorry, excuse me, I'm getting my thing plugged in.
Okay.
But you try to stay in his ear, so I always put a cut up together every week of tight end touches, of the 7 or 8 games that we're looking at. I always put a cut up together and I drop it into his hot folder that's called tight end touches. So he sees kind of what I'm looking at, and then I just try to stay in his ear. Hey, this is a good idea. Hey, Texas Tech did this on third down, and this is how they use their tight end. Just try to stay in his ear that way. Try to drop subtle hints of like, hey, every time Chamon has a reception in a game, I think we've won 17 out of 20 games when Chamon has at least one catch. Little things like that, just like little hints. It's like what my wife does with me when she wants me to get something done. She just keeps dropping little hints until I finally do it. So I think that's the thing that I've really enjoyed about the tight end room, and it's what I've tried to preach to our guys. We talk about all the time how we can make an impact without the ball, and that's one of the things we talk about. The tight end position, you can make an impact on the game without the ball, and so I don't get too caught up in touches. I know if my guys are doing their job within the scheme, the ball doesn't dictate how well we're playing. And so, being effective in the run game, coming off winning our one-on-one blocks, being great in protection, lining up right, being in the right place, understanding how we fit into the scheme. If we do that at a high level and the ball doesn't find us, I know that we're still a positive for our team. And so that's why it's a fun position to coach, because you're not judged solely on statistics. You're judged on physicality. You're judged on detail. You're judged on effort, and those are things that you can control. And so we've done a great job, and Coach Roy has done a great job of involving the tight ends and utilizing tight ends. I think we were number 1 in the country in 12 personnel snaps. I think we're number 2. Iowa State and us have been kind of back and forth all year long as far as tight end utilization. So, when you're putting the tight ends on the field as much as we have this year, I think for me as a coach, it makes me feel good that our guys are trusted to do their job when they're called upon.
And fans, we've talked about it before, but in case that went by too quick, the first number is for running backs. The second number is for tight ends. So 12 doesn't mean that you have an extra person on the field. It's 1 back, 2 tight ends. And so, Jason, it's kind of cool that you said that. What does it mean to you to coach a position in which, gosh, in the air raid world, it almost seemed like tight ends were going to go extinct, and you've got a coach that, sometimes I act like Kenny's 22 years old, but you've got a young coach that yet plays old school and believes in punching people in the face with a tight end. What does that do to the guys? What does that do to the room? What does that do for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great for our room. We know we fully believe we have a head coach that is going to do whatever it takes to win. He's going to put whatever players on the field, whoever our best 11 are. If that's 1 quarterback and 1 running back and 9 offensive linemen, Kenny would do it if he felt like that gave us an advantage. So I think that knowing that our coordinator and our head coach believe in the tight end room and willing to utilize 2 and 3 tight end sets on the field at the same time, consistently throughout the season, I think means a lot to us. And I think just for the room itself, when you've got 6, 7 guys on scholarship in there, if we're playing 2 and 3 guys, it's just more opportunities for everybody. And so showing up day in and day out throughout the course of spring and fall, and you get into the season and the grind, guys know that if they show up and work hard, that there is an opportunity to get on the field and contribute. And because if you've got 7 scholarship tight ends and you play, you're in 10 personnel or 11 personnel as a base, and you don't ever use multiple tight end sets, and there's only really probably 1 or 2 guys that are getting meaningful snaps. So I think it's good for us. We've got 3 guys playing a lot of snaps. We've got a 4th guy that's played a decent amount. We've got the other 2 guys that are on special teams. So we traveled 5 tight ends last week, to Iowa. So, that's awesome for us, for our guys. There's a lot of opportunities to play, and that's what these guys are here for. They want to get on the field and contribute.
I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but there used to be this cheesy thing every Saturday morning, and it was called like Schoolhouse Rock, and they would teach you about conjunction, junction, what's your function and stuff like this. Well, one of them was how a bill becomes a law. So there's this little guy He looks like a bill, and he's walking around Congress, and then he goes through committees, and he eventually gets to the president's desk. So I have a question for you based on something similar. Take me through the process of a concept becoming an actual play. Like when you come into work on a Monday and you saw something Saturday or Sunday that you like that is not in your playbook, how does that process go for all the way from it has no name other than what you kind of make up to actually being called by a quarterback in a game?
Well, I'll kind of walk through steps. So I wish it was Monday, but we're in on Sunday. We're in on Sunday morning.
Gator.
Grading out our film, meeting on that, and then starting our game planning for the next opponent. So typically, what that looks like is start by watching a couple full games, just get a feel for the team as a whole, the defense as a whole. Really, when I talk about full games, I'm just talking about their defense. And then get into Sunday is really like our normal down. So that's your 1st and 10 or P and 10, which is starting possession, or your 2nd and mediums, 4 to 6 yards. And watching all those snaps, we usually pick 7 to 8 games that we use as breakdown games where the team that we're watching on offense versus our next opponent's defense has some similarities to us as far as schematically, personnel wise. And we're kind of doing this individually. I'll go and I have certain areas within that I'll look at. So, real specifically looking at screen game, looking at play action passes. I'll get into some 12 personnel, looking at how they defend 2 tight end sets. And starting to just kind of tag some things, look at what formations do we feel give us an advantage, what personnel groupings give us an advantage. And then within there, I'll kind of go in and have some ideas. If I take in an idea that I have to create terminology for, it's never going to have a chance. And so it's finding things that fit within our system. So can I take something in? It might not be something that we've done yet, but it's something that we do. And so from a concept, from a blocking, if I can present it in our terminology, our formation, our protection, our concepts, and package it like that, then we have a working ready list. It's like a Google document. And so we'll meet on Monday afternoon. So we get all Sunday, we get half a day on Monday to kind of put our ideas together, put stuff into the ready list. And then we meet as an offensive staff and we go through the ready list, and it's all broken down by formation, by personnel. And so we'll kind of go formation and personnel by personnel and talk, hey, here's the things we like in this personnel grouping and this formation, run and pass. And it's all separate like that. And then when one of my things that I put in the ready list comes up, then it's talk through it. Why do you like it? What'd you see? What are they doing defensively? What if they do this? What's our answer to that? And really, we're trying to find stuff. We kind of troubleshoot it and go, well, that's good against this, but they also do this. And if they do this, then it's not very good. And then boom, that you see a red line go through it, and that's the end of that. So that's kind of the process for that. And we do that for normal downs. We do that for third downs. 3rd and short, 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, 3rd and XL. We do it for low red zone, high red zone, fringe area. We do it for backed up. We do it for coming out. We do it for 2 minute. And so it's quite a process. Everybody's kind of has an area of expertise that they need to be really dialed in, and it's a cumulative effort. And then at the end of the day, Coach Arroyo is the one who's got his name on it. He's the one that's got to call it. So he'll go through and grab the things that he feels the best about, and that's kind of how the game plan comes together.
I love that. Thanks for that. There's going to be a lot of fans that don't know how much goes into it, and for you to explain that, take us through what, I don't know, like February or March is going to be like when you start getting calls from scouts, maybe even a GM. They're going to ask you about Metayer. What are you going to tell them?
Well, I mean, they've already been coming in. If they wait
Really?
till February, it's probly not very good.
Good.
We've had every NFL team has been at our practices at least twice, and everyone that's come through, I've had conversations. Usually during a special teams period, I'll spend 5 to 10 minutes with the scouts that are there and talking about Chamon, and what I tell them is kind of what Chamon's bought into, which is his edge. What makes him special is his physicality, his ability to strike and knock guys off the ball at the line of scrimmage. He's 260 pounds. He's twitchy. He's dense, and he's heavy-handed, and he knows that what makes him special is his ability to do that, to block the C gap one-on-one, to take on the team's best strong side defensive end, to be able to win that without help.
Mm.
Everything he does in the pass game, I think, is a benefit. But I think what makes Chamon unique is he understands how he's gonna earn a spot on Sundays is by what he does at the line of scrimmage, what he does in pass protection, how he blocks on the perimeter, the physicality and the effort that he plays with. And I think that's why scouts like him. There's a lot of guys that are big athletes that can flex out and catch the ball and run around, but it's harder to find guys that really take pride and can dominate the line of scrimmage. And so that's the main thing I talk about with Chamon. And the other thing I talk about is I think there were some misconceptions on him. Being a kid that transferred from Cincinnati to Colorado and was only at Colorado for spring and then left again. And it's easy to write that off as like, oh, he's a malcontent, he's this and that. The reality is he's a great kid who hasn't been late for one meeting, one academic, one lift. He's never had any issues with discipline. I mean, I'm saying in over the course of 2 years, there's not been one time
Mm.
he's been late for one thing. And he does everything we ask him to do. He's a coach pleaser. He cares deeply. He loves football. He needs football. And so those are the things I try to give insight in, because it's easy to go, oh, well, this kid, is transferred twice, and Colorado might tell you, oh, he's this, he's that. And I'm like, well, our experience with the kid from day one has been the kid loves football. He loves his teammates love him, and he cares immensely, and he'll do whatever it takes. And we go to Mississippi State. He doesn't have one target, and he probably tell you it's one of his best games he's ever played, because he takes pride in the physicality and blocking and doing the things that he does. So that's what I try to tell people. And I try to be honest with them in the areas where he can still improve. But I think I just try to give the best insight, and I believe in the kid, and I think he's going to be successful. Whoever gives him a chance is going to get everything he's got to give, because he cares, and he wants to. The people that pour into him, that trust him, that show that they're invested in him, he'll give you everything he's got.
I love hearing you say that about him, and it made me think. I know for a fact I'm soft enough that if I am 20, 21, 22 years old, and I'm on a student radio station at the First Ohio University, and ESPN radio starts walking around in order to watch me and do everything, I'm going to choke. Maybe by the fifth time they're there, I'm ready. But the first time, and yet that's what these kids are doing. As soon as you said, yeah, there's plenty of scouts. They've all been here. They walk around. They watch practice. It's so odd to hear you say that. Here's a 7-figure check, young man, if you do your job well, but keep focused on practice. Don't look at me. Do you ever address that, or is it just totally the norm and everybody's used to it?
Yeah, the reality is it's no different than a high school kid at practice with college coaches they're
Okay.
evaluating. These kids have been evaluated. They've been evaluated, their whole lives, really, from the time they started playing, trying to earn the next opportunity. So I think a little bit these kids get used to it. I think for us, it's awesome. We love having the scouts there because it's a great motivator. Talk about kids practicing hard and paying attention and focusing on details. When you've got 7 NFL teams standing on the sideline watching you practice, it's a great motivator. So I think it's a good thing. And the reality is you find out real quick who's wired for it and who's not. And I think that's one of the things that makes Chamon special. Chamon's belief in himself is uncommon. He believes he can do everything. It's funny. I sent him. This is like a great short story of how Chamon feels about himself. Mel Kiper came out a couple days ago with like his top 10 position rankings for each position, and Chamon was number 10 with the tight ends, which is awesome. And I was excited, and I texted to him, and his first response back is like, "Coach, no way there's 9 tight ends in the country better than me." Right. And that kind of belief in himself is what makes him special. And you have to have that at this level. There's so many critics out there. There's so many detractors. If you don't have that belief in yourself, you got no chance. And so I think that's one of the things that makes Chamon special, is he truly believes that he's one of the 2 or 3 best guys in the country, and he shows up and plays with that level of confidence. And it's why, when he does make a mistake, he has a short memory, doesn't dwell on it, because he believes he's going to make the next play. And that's special. And I think that's a trait when you as I get into this, in year 3 going into year 4 of college football, finding guys that have that level of belief in themselves is huge, because guys that have self-doubt, it's hard to play at this level because the lights are bright, the situations are big, and the critics are everywhere. And if you don't believe in yourself, you've listened to the outside noise, it's hard to be successful.
Do you realize you're having a good season? I mean, you lost Sam. You're still going forward. Tyson's out for a while. This is a kid that's probably, in my opinion, the second best player in the draft. I admit I love Ruben Bain at Miami, but I think Jordan's amazing. You've had so many injuries up and down the lineup. Prince Dorba keeps moving up draft boards, I'm assuming, and yet he was out for. I mean, how are you guys here? Do you, as a coach, even get a chance to take a step back and say, "Wow, we're doing really well, all things considered"?
It's funny, like there's so many times that I compare this to like I'm like a history buff and I love watching World War II documentary stuff. And I didn't serve. My grandpa served. I never served in the military. I have no idea what it's like.
Same way.
And
My grandpa's Battle of the Bulge.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But like our life is not on the line here. Don't get me wrong when I use these comparisons, but outside of your life being on the line, I feel like it's like a tour of duty, and it's like, you get deployed and you're in it, and every day is different, but you hunker down, in the trenches, and you just keep battling, and until the war is over, you can't think about where you stand. It's like you just show up every day and keep fighting. And that's how I kind of feel this, which is you don't really think about where you're at in the season until it's over. And so the minute you start patting yourself on the back, things go wrong. The minute you start feeling sorry for yourself, it's like you just can't do that. So you just have to take it literally one day at a time. Coach Dillingham says it all the time. Just focus on being the best version of yourself every single day, and then you wake up and you repeat. And it's so accurate, because it can be overwhelming if you look too far ahead. If you dwell on the failures, it can consume you. And so you just have to show up every day. You have to hit the reset button. You have to try to be the absolute best version of yourself, and you just got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it until the last game. And then you take a step back and you regroup and you figure out how you can get better the next time. So that's kind of where we're at. So yeah, good season, bad season. I try not to like even put any stock into that. Obviously, I'm a human. You understand that we faced adversities, and there's things that we've dealt with that we wish we wouldn't have dealt with, and we've had some successes along the way that are great. And we've had some failures along the way that we like to have back. But at the end of the day, it's just head down and grind, and we'll come up from there once we get into December.
All right. Well, the last question is when is the tee time that you want at Whirlwind Golf Club?
What's a tee time?
Exactly. We're getting you out there. I'm amazed not as much Trenton anymore, but I see plenty of Bourgays at Whirlwind, so somebody's figuring out what time their tee time is.
Trenton doesn't have a wife and kids, so he can have a hobby still. So for me, the Mohns family is my hobby. But yeah, in the off season, I would love a tee time at Whirlwind. So we'll connect once we get into January, February.
Done. Hey, I owe you a beer. I know you're busy. Thanks for giving us time in your bye week. Let us know if there's anything we can do in the Unplugged Army to help. Most of us are Sun Devil fans, so we'd be glad to do it.
Appreciate it. Forks up.
Forks up.